I will try to fix you.
Riders Republic was a game this time last year I could not wait to play. It had offered everything you could hope for in a fun, crazy experience. Extreme sports for every flavor, lots of races, events, customization, careers. A playground of 5 national parks of the United States to give you landscapes for all seasons and for all colors. Not to mention embracing its wacky and zany core by not taking itself too seriously. And when the game released, it was exactly that.
Hey, come on. Woo, baby. Smack it. Let's do it.
It was perfect in its silly personality, exceptional open world, endless things to do and explore, and a community to die for. And then the dopamine rush was over. And pretty soon, we began to see some lingering side effects of not capitalizing on your early momentum. Basic features like leaderboards, action replays, session mechanisms for groups playing together, and sustainable multiplayer was still missing from the game almost a year later. So where exactly did things go off track? How did such a promising start for a potentially huge multiplayer or friends experience peter out into just another fun time waster? It just feels so out of place making one of these video essays on a game that frankly is still in its early days, especially in the era of live service and seasonal content. This video kind of is just more about a matter of principle, because while it is all good to say, oh, they'll fix this, stop worrying about it, it's high time to find out why haven't they? If a live service game is all about providing service for an active player base, should you not be fixing the things to help keep the player base active and thereby providing an improved live service? Looking back, this could have been a year where this game could have captured the gaming community much better than it had. How would I have made my first year count? How would I have fixed all the issues this game came with? Join me on an extreme, action-packed journey that starts with Riders Republic's spiritual predecessor, an old friend. Steep was just one of a kind. Back when it was released, it instantly drew comparisons to the likes of the SSX games of years past, but in all honesty, they were nothing like each other. While SSX had a much deeper focus on the player and the insane out-of-this-world tricks you could come up with, Steep stayed grounded and focused rather on the world around you and how you were using the world as your playground. With this, SSX also always had some definitive end objective to its game, a goal to reach and achieve, which the gameplay and the narrative revolved around. However, in Steep, the narrative is the story you and the slopes told together, as you explore and discover the secrets of the Alps. It gave more freedom to the player as you decided what your goals were, and ultimately a completely different experience when it comes to gameplay. But it's because of this comparison to SSX that I think Steep ultimately just got overlooked on release. People didn't understand exactly what the game was going for. They called it having a lack of direction or scope, or they just were expecting to be told what to do. And that's never what Steep was about. Some of the best moments on Steep were you going down a new slope for the first time and taking the bends, dips, crests and crevasses as they came, and riding it all the way down or eating a mouthful of snow as you hit a tree. Even more so if you pretend to be recording a GoPro clip. It was the type of game that did not demand that you made progress or did anything in particular, apart from what you set out to do when you set foot on the mountaintop. It was something that took all your stresses, worries, thoughts, concerns about the day and made it all disappear among the powders of snow you boarded through. It had a meditative quality few games have captured to this day, akin to something like Alto's Adventure or Journey. It still remains in my top 3 games to this day, as I spent hours upon hours on those Alps that made even the most difficult days of my days on university okay. It just had that it factor, and I will always cherish it for what it helped me through. There was one thing that was not present in Steep: a core multiplayer experience. Sure, the game did allow you to party up and play with friends as well as share a mountain with others in a server, but when you were playing, the best parts of the game came through when you were by your lonesome and you and the mountain shared a personal story together. But with the gaming scene moving more and more towards shared experiences, public spaces, and communities, it opened up a perfect opportunity for a successor to embrace the coming together of people in their weird and wonderful hobbies. And that was the MO when it came to Riders Republic. I remember the first time I watched that trailer for the game, I just couldn't stop smiling. There was someone dressed in a T-Rex suit falling down a snowing hill. Trails of colorful smoke blazed through the tree lines as cyclists raced to the finish. The skies were filled with wingsuits, rocket wingsuits, and even paper planes. There was dirt, sand, snow, grass, waterfalls, canyons, forests. And so many people, all different, but all together. It looked genuinely like a paradise. And it felt like that too when I played the game on the first day of its release. You could explore that huge world, take on all sorts of challenges in all the different sports, take part in massive multiplayer races, or just stay in that social hub and soak it all in. Sure, there was some stuff missing, when it launched, but it had so much content on offer. It was bliss. I had soaked in a lot of content during that time and enjoyed some of the updates, the continuous Shack Daddy challenges, the career paths for all the disciplines, and the sites. But I'd begun to wonder where the action replays were of Steep, or the leaderboards for races so that we knew what times were the ones to beat. Besides racing against some ghosts of players, there was no telling if the time you put up meant you were a speed demon or a slowpoke. Season 1 was a winter-themed kind of wonderland with sponsors, X-Game events, and a jumbo bike to celebrate the holidays. It was a decent start, but it still left me with questions. Though I knew it was December and I understood that Devs probably also wanted and needed some time off. So I happily enjoyed the content on offer and further progressed the career paths. Though, when the holidays were over, some of that jolly spirit from the beginning started to fade as well, and doubt started to set in. Looking back, it really feels bizarre why they decided to make Season 1 so incredibly long. It wasn't until May 2022 until we would see a new season, and in that time, more of my worries seemed to deepen as there were no hints of any of the lingering issues being addressed in a game which was aiming to have a core multiplayer experience, but still lacked some core multiplayer features. Not only that, but some of the multiplayer competitions like the free-for-all, mass races, and tricks battle had begun to wear a bit, partially from issues and partially from very familiar maps and substantial playing time on them. We were all itching for new content, itching for fixes. By May, it had reached a fever point. And what Season 2 delivered? Well, I liked it, and it seems like I was the only one who liked it. The new game mode involved collecting lightning bolts against another team, as you could choose from 3 classes like the Juggernaut, Sniper, and Spider Bikes, all with superpowers to help your team to victory. It was silly, ridiculous, but it oozed fun. Every game just felt like it could go down to the wire in intensity and overall fun and excitement, regardless of your deficit. I enjoyed every second I played of this mode, and it probably kept me around until the end despite its divisive nature, and I will die on that hill. It was a game mode that captured the essence of Riders Republic, whether you liked it or not. It was genuinely encapsulated what the game was about. There were also some new multiplayer features like session markers that your group or party could use as waypoints when exploring the map or to fast travel to. You could also form clans and organize your friends list into these, and there were some new mass races available. But again, while this was all nice and fancy, where were the basic multiplayer features? At this point, every person and their mother playing the game since the start had more or less completed all the race and events on offer, and we had still no way of checking how our previous times compared against the rest of the world. We could not experience any progression or challenge in a game that kind of pushed that forward as part of the multiplayer experience. This is especially where Riders Republic's difference from Steep could hurt it, where the predecessor had no intention of progression and allowed you the freedom to decide your goals. Riders Republic had clear intentions of allowing you to grind for the best bikes, snowboards, wingsuits, and times, but we just had no way of measuring that. So, who was the game now without any direction? To just give a quick disclaimer, Season 1 of Riders Republic lasted 5 months. Season 2, with considerably more content, a new game mode, and more multiplayer features, lasted 2 months. Yeah, I don't get it either. And yet, it wasn't the 5-month Season 1 that felt the most worn. This would go to Season 3, the summer break season. It only lasted from July to September, but there was just nothing to do. Some seasonal events and attire just don't cut it when the lingering issues hanging over the game's head were still around and had not been addressed. It was baffling. I ran out of things to do, and it just was not fun anymore. And for a game based on fun and the outdoors and all the wacky sports out there, that truly says something. There was a video essay not long ago done by Soviet Womble that said that the most hardcore fans of games can become its greatest enemies if they feel betrayed or not listened to. And while I don't feel as if I resent Riders Republic, it frustrates me to my core to know what this game could have been. It was everything I've ever wanted in a game, but it was also everything wrong about that type of game. And ultimately, I couldn't stand it anymore. And I had to say a bitter goodbye to one of my fantasies. So we know about the issues already that should have been fixed, and would be fixed if I had the power. That's a given. Leaderboards, action replay cameras, a lot of new sports, and more activities should be in the game. And yes, I know Season 4 has leaderboards and that Area 52 arena with BMX is there, but you're too late, bro.
It's too late to apologize. It's too late.
It just seems like Ubisoft, once again, had their hands so full of ambitious ideas that they never capitalized on any of them. And ultimately, that's always been the company's downfall. No matter how much I love them, they really fumble it every single time when it comes to their ambitions. But I'm going to be honest here. There's something much more subtle that Riders Republic is missing, which goes back to Steep. Yes, Riders Republic should have the core multiplayer features, especially since it was much more multiplayer than its predecessor. But what it should have always had are those core personal experiences that you can have in the game that were unique to you and only you. That's what kept me around in Steep. I've probably played more hours wandering those snowy Alps than racing down them, purely because they had secrets and sights for those who were willing to look and find them. Whether it was the action replay camera, the Easter eggs, the random Swiss fondue recipe mystery, or just watching the sleepy, picturesque villages get illuminated by the sunrise. There was always something to experience. Now, how do we take those type of experiences, those kind of unique, irreplaceable ones, and translate it to a multiplayer context and perspective for its successor? Well, take the Riders Ridge for example, the social hub of the map. It has a large screen central to the area, which could be used to broadcast live events like a tricks battle, a mass race, or a showdown that people in the lobby are participating in, or even like plays of the game. It could also host mini-games similar to GTA Online lobbies, possibly like who has the longest grind, the highest trick multiplier, and others. Or it can just be wacky like a game of tag, where for a time period, everyone plays tag on designated equipment like snowmobiles, snowboards, or bikes and runs around just chaotically. As for the seasons, Winter Bash had quite a good amount of content, although I would cut down on how long that season was. Despite this, I think it would have still been awesome if we had some more interactivity with the weather, such as having snowball fights or allowing us to make snow angels, or a race where we have to outrace others down a mountain that currently has an avalanche, or even a blizzard type of race where we just race blindly. We could even have a Christmas themed minigame, like sledding a huge haul of presents down a mountain, and we have to coordinate maybe with a team to get those presents down without losing any of them, or just delivering as much of them in as little time to all the sleepy village children. We can even have a competing team of like Grinches who tries to like bump against you and like tries to make you lose presents or steal presents or whatever. What a fun minigame that could have been. For Season 2, I think Showdown and its length was perfectly serviceable, although it should have had a few more maps and maybe even a few more classes or even a version of it on snowboards or wingsuits. For Season 3, the summer break really had what I think was the best opportunity of the game to introduce smaller but still fun sports that people could enjoy together while waiting for that huge Season 4 and BMX career. Since the season means things are heating up and with our riders needing to cool down, why not pay tribute to a long-standing funny quirk about both Steep and Riders Republic? The inability to swim, or when entering the water you immediately are knocked out. Why not have a little fun with yourself and introduce swimming classes that everyone partakes in at the beginning of the season, with items like lilos, custom floaties, life jackets, and life rafts all in the shop or unlockable during summer break. Not just that, but why not have sports that we can have in the water? Make it non-competitive but cooperative ones. Like jet skis, where you and a buddy can come together and make awesome jumps and tricks, or a lazy paddle boat, where you can paddle down, or even a minigame where we have to steer a raft or kayak down huge tsunami-like rapids. Come to think of it, why don't we have more tag team-like features in all of the sports and disciplines? Imagine figure skating-esque crazy trick sequences that you and your friends can pull off in skiing, or daring feats in the air, or even on bikes. My point being, the game should feature a lot of multiplayer, yes, but I truly think the game would have soared if it focused on a cooperative aspect instead of a competitive one. Sure, I know a lot of people out there are out there to see who can post the fastest times on leaderboards, or who's got the best tricks in the game down a certain slope, but genuinely, I think the game's just at its best when you share these memories and experiences with people in co-op, or just laugh your way through the server doing ridiculous things together. Now, do I think Riders Republic can rise again? It's very hard to speculate, and particularly, I don't really want to. Having been burned before by my hopes and expectations of the game, it remains with me like a scar. Or like a bad ex. However, Season 4 did fix one of the most glaring issues, that of the leaderboards, and along with it introduced BMX that not only was a new career path, but a new part of the map as well. So, who knows? If things do turn around, I will be back in the Republic. Back to my ex. Okay, well, no. That sounded way more profound in my head. goodness me, what am I teaching these poor kids? Don't go back to your ex, people. Don't walk that road, damn it. Anyway, on that note, those are my thoughts on the game. For those of you who haven't played it or are still playing it, let me know if you agree or not. And just again, wow. The support for these are getting unreal, folks. I genuinely cannot thank you guys enough. Really, I've never seen anything like this on my channel before, and it's humbling, you know? Like, I've said before that this is just a hobby for me, that it, like, you know, I just kind of make these projects for myself and, like, for my friends and stuff, and it just serves good memories. But wow, does it, like, it just feels amazing seeing you guys support and acknowledge all that stuff. And, you know, it really makes me feel kind of just warm and fuzzy. But yeah, here's to more opportunities to fix more games and to the journey we will have together. But for now, let's ride in the Republic one last time.